Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Hold on one second. I'm trying to make the buttons work and they's all like hunkered up and stuff. Hold on. They doing okay, here I am. Hey, Hal be with you in just a moment, but I just take over the show just for a second to say I missed y'all and it's really good to be back. And I just want to remind you to like and subscribe and all that stuff. And if you want to help out during the show, all you got to do is throw us some super chats and some shit like that. And just anything you think it's worth. And if you don't think it's worth nothing, then that's on. I don't know what you're doing here. Honestly. Like, seriously. Like, how much time do you have in your life you're going to waste it doing something you don't like? But anyways, if you do like having a good time and getting your thinking cap on, after, of course, cleaning it, after what happened last time, don't get me started. Just remember to hit that old button and liking and subscribing and doing whatever. That really helps us out. Okay, get that cool? Are we in good? We cool? All right, I hope so. Okay, see you in a minute. Hi everybody, welcome to the show. It's HAL SPARKS Mega Worldwide, and it's a Friday afternoon, and I'm a little later than normal, but it's because my plane was delayed coming out of Long Beach by about 2 hours. And yeah, I was supposed to leave at 12:30. Ended up leaving at 2:37. In theory, that's when they. That's what it said. The actual takeoff time was, and that's when we were starting to board. So, anyways, I'm here, and that's the important thing. And I would just like to say, for the record, considering I had business to do, I consider this show a very serious endeavor, and I don't take it for granted, and neither should you. And considering how much time and effort I like to put into prepping the show and the like, and getting myself in a good headspace, making sure I do my squats before the show starts, all my pre-show rituals. I don't like being late for it. I don't. And I will say, in spite of all those things, I never chinked out on anybody at the Southwest desk. They were all right. They were doing their best. It was a plane issue. Something was late, and then they had to get another plane, and then they did. And at no point did I chink out on any of them. No reason for it. As a matter of fact, no one did. It was amazingly civil. Everybody was just recognizing that A, you don't want to get in a broken plane, and you don't want a crew that's tired. And if a plane was delayed coming to you because they didn't want a broken plane or a crew that's tired, that's a good thing. That's the, I mean, you should, anytime your plane has a mechanical issue that's delaying its takeoff, or the crew is coming from another flight, by the way, which means they're kind of overworked and they're squeezing the time and they're going to pay for it later. Anytime any of that shit happens and somebody tells you, hey, we're delayed because of a plane issue or weather or any of this, anytime that happens, the only proper response is to say thank you, or actually high five the person behind the desk. Because you don't want to get a broken plane, and you don't want to be on a plane with a tired crew or a sick crew or a crew that's one person short. So I don't understand why people get upset when a plane is delayed. If you're not going to make your connection, imagine how late you would be to your connection and every connection after that if your plane went down. So as long as your plane has as many takeoffs, an equal number of takeoffs and landing, count your fucking blessings and shut the fuck up. Be nice to everyone at an airport. Okay, there you go. Yeah, just so you know, there's video of Cenk just being a complete asshole to the people behind the counter at Southwest at one point because they had plane issues, and he's like screaming at them like they're his corporate overlords. It was just a dick move. Anyways, it's been a while. Like I've been flying Southwest lately, and it just was on my mind, like while I'm sitting there and the plane's delayed, and I was like, I'm good. I'm good. It's I don't want my plane to take off if it won't stay in the air. Right? That seems logical. Okay, so lots going on today. Obviously, if you tuned in this morning, and I'm sorry about the choppiness, I will be posting the video from the morning show later after I edit out the parts where it was choppy in the beginning, because I recorded as much as I could. So I'm going to post that if you want to check that out. But we were going through the Paul Pelosi story, which if you're late to the whole thing, Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul Pelosi, was attacked at 2:30 in the morning last night in their homes. This guy busted a window, Jimmy screen door, or a sliding glass door, got into the house, attacked Paul Pelosi with a hammer. When the police showed up, he called 911 when he heard somebody in the house. That when he came downstairs, apparently, this is like my own timeline based on what the cops said and what he did. It only took him about 2.5 minutes to get there because, I mean, yeah. But he was wrestling with the dude and the guy had a hammer and he was striking him, and then he was gonna, like, he had stuff to tie him up. And he was saying, "Where's Nancy?" while he's hitting him. And the cops came in, and the guy was still striking him. And Paul Pelosi was like holding the hammer and with the guy like that. They were wrestling over it. And they tackled the dude, took Paul Pelosi to the hospital. He's had brain surgery. He is expected to recover, but it's a serious, he got some serious wounds from this. And the dude is not only straight up QAnon MAGA, like he has been guzzling every Q talking point for the last 2 years in particular. And previous to that, he seemed to be on I wouldn't call him the left side of the extremist thing, because I don't know, I think he was kind of off the charts. But the idea is that, extremists can vacillate. It's not about the belief or the ethic or the thought itself. It's about the excitement of the extremism, right? So this guy, is just, he just barreled into this. It might have been during COVID, it might have been previous to that, or what have you. But he's been doing nothing but that, but guzzling those talking points for the last 2 years. And he's a huge Jimmy Dore fan. What a surprise. Yes, it turns out this fellow, and I tweeted this earlier, is a massive Jimmy Dore fan. I'll show you real quick if I can. Does this come up right? Yeah, there we go. So I posted these earlier. These are pictures. This is from a website that he has. And in case you missed the morning show or it was too choppy to tell, I can't know. So pardon me if I'm repeating myself, but this is, yeah. So, Ukrainian cannon fodder. And if you'll read right here, it says, the more Ukrainians die needlessly, the cheaper the land will be for Jews to buy it up. And he's citing Jimmy Dore as his source of choice. There's several of these. Here's another one. This is another Jimmy Dore clip. You'll recognize the blue neon sign graphic that's in this. You did this to yourself. He's quoting Putin, Ukraine. This guy wrote blog pieces on this. He also posted this, like, I don't know if it's supposed to be Tulsi or just looks vaguely like her, or he found a picture that he thought looked like Tulsi without her X-Men white stripe. He goes, this was October 19th. This is just recently. I guess this is as good a time as any. Trump, you need to make Tulsi your VP in 2024. Of the entire Democrat presidential candidates in 2020, she was the only Democrat, blah, blah, blah. Anyway. So he thinks this is the magic ticket. And he's begging Trump to do it because he's a pro-Trump guy, and that's how that shit works. And apparently, according to Adam Flagger, I made the news. I didn't see it. I don't know if anybody has a clip or something. I don't know which news we're talking about. But anyways, wasn't hard to find. This guy, David DePepe. And, I mean, there's like several pictures of people with that name floating around. But the main guy that they arrested, this is him. And if you'll recall, there was a guy named Gavin Long who was a TYT fan, and he was one of their citizen journalists for a while. They have done copyright strikes on his YouTube videos so that they get shut down so people can't watch them, so that they know. But Gavin Long shot 4 police officers. He ambushed them, killing 3 and injuring 1, giving him permanent brain injury. The guy's in a wheelchair. Is in essentially a persistent vegetative state. He posted, this guy posted Lindell videos, not Gavin Long, but this guy, David DePepe, posted big Lindell fan on his Facebook page. I did not go to his Facebook page because I was going for kind of like the raw pages, because there's always a chance on things like Facebook that they take the person's page down immediately. Too bad he's a Jew hater. He would have posted Ben Shapiro Jew. Yeah, there's definitely, you can see why he posts Aaron Mate stuff, but not Max Blumenthal stuff. you can see why he posts Jimmy Dore stuff, but not Ben Shapiro, because they agree on most of these points. So, anyways, creepy, awful, psycho, and not insane, by the way, just, misguided and decide. I don't go with people are crazy just because they do shit that you and I would deem as insane. It's not clinically, that's not an excuse. Dude knew exactly what he was doing, in my estimation, judging from how long he managed to communicate in this world pretty simply. He was not standing on a street corner scribbling on a manifesto on scraps of paper and then tying them together and living in a subway station. He had, people will put up the whole thing about was Dahmer insane or was he just crazy, that kind of zone. Immaterial. He knew what he was doing was wrong. He did it because it gave him pleasure. Is Pepe the Frog a right-wing thing? Yes, it is. And I don't know if that's the irony, if that's his given name or if he took it on, although that's a different spelling than Pepe the Frog. So, anyways, not surprising. That just, we were just scrolling through the page. I grabbed a screenshot of that earlier. We'll talk about it more on the radio tomorrow. But it's a big deal. Again, I have not really worried much about the concept of civil war. When people talk about that shit, I got news for you. It's just not happening. There is not going to be a big movement civil war. It's just not. I'm telling you. All the people who would do it as a group, anybody who would yeah, I'll get there with you, are a mess. Physically, emotionally, financially, and yet they are relatively well-to-do, gainfully employed, and sort of jealous of the good life. None of them are going to lay down their life. Not large groups of them are not going to lay down their life for something, like defending Donald Trump or any of this other shit. It's just not going to happen. So, what will happen, though, when you start talking about this shit is these one-off lunatics. That's the biggest concern. The biggest concern is these folks who are tired of waiting, and they decide, you know what, today's the day, and I'm gonna be a one-man Manson family, and I'm gonna jumpstart this shit. That's the concern. That's why you verbally keep your powder dry about violent rhetoric. Besides the fact that it's wrong, the reason you don't talk like that, the reason you're not okay with that kind of language is because of who it triggers and who it gives permission to. This is it. This is the Civil War. Our elections, our leaders are under direct attack. No, it isn't. This is not a civil war. Look at Sierra Leone or the Congo or the fucking United States in the 1800s. It's not. It's not the same thing. It's definitely, there's extremists in our country and they're gaining steam and they're trying to build something or whatever, but it is not the same thing. And that's, yeah, he went full Ashley Babbitt. You see the glass door? Yes, I did. I'm telling you though, when those people do it, it's just like the poll watchers they keep talking about. Are those guys a problem? Absolutely. But 6 fucking people in 3 pairs of 2 across Arizona in shifts, sitting outside a Dropbox all night, fucking tailgating and sucking beers is not the sign of the goddamn apocalypse. Stop it. Look, they deserve absolute mockery. Do not take those folks, for example, don't take them seriously, because the minute you take them seriously, it means you're afraid of them. And the minute they think you're afraid of them, that's when they're like, aha, this is our time to strike. And will they rise up? Will those people, those poll-watching pricks, rise up and do something? No, they will not. But they might have one person who follows their lead and goes, it's really strong. We need strength to show it. I'll do it. That's the problem. So you have to mock these people. You cannot take them seriously. And I would argue that, and this is not blaming her at all, but the footage recently of Pelosi saying, "I'd like to punch him in the mouth," from January 6th, which is a direct statement she made on the day when his attackers were coming to attack her, to kill her. The timing of when it was played and the fact that it was played on a loop, and especially on right-wing things, is the kind of thing where it gave quarter to people like that. Were like, "Oh, was that this? They said it first. It's time for us to be violent. They're okay with violence. We're okay with." Look what Maxine Waters said, which she just basically said, get up in people's faces and say they're not welcome. There's a difference. But that's why I'm saying, that's why I have a hard line, and that's why I'm going to keep a hard line. Somebody would have been fine. Yeah, people should wear, it's Halloween, so people should dress up as mules. Yeah. Dropping off their ballot. The population of the USA is over 300 million. It's impossible. Exactly. Don't talk to me about 300 people online screaming for revolution in a country of 340 million people. It's not going to fucking happen. And the only thing that will happen if you act like that's a real threat and you talk about it like that, you're going to make 300 turn into 500. And of that 500, 50 will do something about it. One per state. And that's some dead people that don't need to die. Because they're not going to, like I said, will they pull off an Oklahoma City or something like that? Very doubtful. Will they ambush some cops or shoot a crowd of people? Very possible. But it still won't trigger a civil war. It'll just be more dead people. And the problem with it is that you can't give quarter to that. You cannot give room to that kind of talk. There are too many words in the English language. Find a better way to express yourself. I insist. And if you disagree with me, by the way, there are a myriad of other sites and other people who are happy as fucking clams to call for the end times and the destruction of their fellow human beings and say, well, some people deserve it, and it's they're on they're on the wrong side and we're on the right side, and you can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs, and it's time for revolution. I mean, the whole goddamn internet is chock full of those fuckers printing money on the idea of a future revolution or a spiritual rapture that is not fucking happening. So, treat your fellow humans with compassion. Hold your tongue until it serves you best. Look out. And speak from the top of yourself. All the time. And remember, a single silly song did more to bring down King George than did all the protestations of the bishop. Mockery is so important. It's got more value, and it's the only thing they fear. They want you to fear them. They want you to be angry with them, because that means they triggered you, and therefore they own you. But if you dismiss them with a joke, it's emotionally painful for them. Trump, the worst thing you can call Donald Trump, according to him, is a dope. I don't know why he hooked up on that word. I don't know why it bothers him so much, but it does. And that's it. I mean, if he's going to let you know, if you hate him and you're angry with him, that doesn't upset him at all. He's like, see, the right people hate me. I must be doing something right. But if you literally go like, what's up, dweeb? It wipes him out. Learn that lesson. Yeah, his dad called him that a lot. I agree. I'm more than likely he's stuck. I also think it might not have even been his dad. It might have been a word he heard during the 80s a lot. And somehow it stuck. Yeah. Yeah. So, and I'm also, this shocking news. Shocking. I'm not afraid of Elon Musk taking over Twitter. If he fucks the place up, we'll move someplace else. There'll be another way of doing it. We'll be fine. We were fine before Twitter. We will be fine after Twitter. I miss MySpace too, but it became a music site, and Reverb Nation's better at that than MySpace, so who gives a shit? We're going to be all right. We're going to be all right. We're going to be all right. That said, no violent rhetoric, okay? None. If you catch yourself, go, all right, how can I rephrase this so as to be more biting and satirical? Use it as a challenge to better yourself. Remember, what? Satire is always your friend. Okay, now, let's get into today's clips, because there's so much going on. Where do we get HAL and Airborne? Oh, yeah. I thought you meant the band Airborne. Oh, well, believe me, we'll find a place. Fear not. If I have to start a fucking ning, we'll be all right. Okay, now, let's start with something, I found interesting. Somebody sent me this one and was like, "Hell, there's a thingy thing." This is, I think, OAN playing a clip of Jon Stewart interviewing a dude talking about Hunter Biden's laptop. And I have not watched this, and but apparently, Jon Stewart is under the impression that the person he's interviewed has actually seen the laptop, or that it exists, which they haven't, and it doesn't. Let's see.
Susie Lee fights for herself,
not Susie Lee.
not you or
oh, dear
me.
God.
Lee was caught breaking federal law, refusing
federal law.
to...
All right. Keep staring. Keep staring. That's not creepy at all.
Welcome back to Tipping Point.
Thanks.
I'm your host, Andrea Kay, filling in for Tara McKinney. The criminal investigation into Hunter Biden's questionable business dealings intensifies. Senators Chuck Grassley
intensifies. Grassley share investigative material with prosecutors and Hunter Biden. It's just, all right. He's been on this for fucking months. It's not intensifying. It's always Chuck Grassley. This is all he does.
Grassley and Ron Johnson are sharing documents.
Not Ron Johnson.
And banking records.
Well, I take it all back. Ron Johnson, unimpeachable character.
Involving Hunter.
If you tell me Jim Jordan's involved, I don't know. That's like going after the Pope and Mother Teresa and Martha Stewart all at once.
Hunter Biden's ties.
Pre-prison Martha Stewart, I'd like to say for the record.
To Chinese companies with the Delaware U.S. Attorney's Office.
Yes, you can tell by how well we're getting along with China right now.
The more than 200 pages of documents highlight the Biden family's connections to individuals linked.
200 pages? Who has time to read all that?
To the Chinese Communist Party and Chinese intelligence services. And when asked to provide some basic transparency on the matter, here's what John Kirby had to say.
This is a very simple question, but it's an enduring point of uncertainty.
It's an enduring point of uncertainty. It's a hole in my soul.
Does the president's son still co-own a company with China's government? And if not, can you provide some basic transparency about who bought that stake and for how much money?
I don't have anything for you on your second.
Wait. Why didn't you let him finish what the fuck he was saying? I don't know. Basically, he's like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Deepening scandal is so...
Do you even know what you're talking? What company? What the fuck are you talking about?
Egregious. Even ultra-liberal comedian and podcaster Jon Stewart is...
Ultra-liberal. That's like ultra-MAGA, but not.
...is calling out the corruption.
Biden being on the board of...
Burisma. Gazprom.
Burisma, that's right, Burisma.
No, not Gazprom / Burisma. Not the same thing. Don't conflate, and don't nod away the fucking conflation.
To me, that's corruption straight up off the bat.
What was the company like before Hunter Biden worked there? What was the company like after Hunter Biden worked there? Before he joined the board, before they brought in the investment money, before him and Devin Archer or whoever the fuck else was working at Rosemont Seneca at the time came in, it was completely corrupt, full of Russian sock puppets, and that guy who ran the place was a Russian oligarch who was meddling in every part of the energy sector in Ukraine. He fled the country, those people got fired, the money got put where it was supposed to go, and pipelines started getting built, and now Burisma's a functioning company. Again, I make this case to my beloved Jon Stewart. If I have a gun to your head, bless your heart, and I say you have to invest your entire life savings in Burisma, do you do it before Hunter Biden comes in or after? Do you give it to him to invest on your behalf and oversee, or do you give it to the company before? Which one? Which one is a profitable investment? Which one will get you your money back and a return on it as a regular investor? And which one will get your money sucked out into Russia? Again, this is what happens when you only read headlines about shit.
It's corrupt on its face.
No, it isn't. It's not corrupt on its face. The reason these people wanted Rosemont Seneca to be the company that guides their shit through is because they knew, because Hunter Biden was attached to it and his dad was Joe Biden and his dad had been the vice president, that he couldn't fuck off to Russia. They were skating on the Biden name. The investors were, not the company. The investors were. The investors were like, well, if I give this guy the money and he invests it on my behalf and he gets a fee for overseeing the investment, at least I know he's not going to take my money and disappear into fucking Siberia. The money vanishes and then he falls out a fucking window. That's why. The name meant something. And I don't understand sort of the same thing with John Kerry's kid. Same fucking thing. It looked bad is not corruption. Because you know what? You know what? For decades, according to everybody, the Trump organization didn't look corrupt. It looked glitzy. It looked top of the line. Nothing to fucking see here. Any problems he had with bankruptcy and stuff, that was just him taking chances on big deals. It looks great. The fucking Apprentice was a snow job when this fucker was nearly broke. The plot, whatever you think of Mark Burnett, the plot of The Apprentice is ultimately like, especially the Celebrity Apprentice, is look at all these successful people, ironically, being judged by one of the least successful New York real estate guys in fucking history. It's like filming an acting class taught by Gary Busey. Now, not before.
I don't need a laptop with like a hint.
Yeah, you fucking do.
Hint of circumstantial evidence. Now, tying Joe Biden to it, yeah, that's going to take some digging. And if it's real, you know, that's a thing. But
if it's real, that's a thing. Okay, so I bet it probably is. So let's just leave that laying there, John.
The idea that nepotism would allow much larger amounts of money to flow into the hands of people unqualified to be in the positions that they've been accepted because...
Why didn't, John, all due respect, why didn't they hold auditions for the host of the Daily Show? Why did you just get to pick your successor? No, by the way, this is not John, I love Jon Stewart, all said in context. Also, this is not on OAN. OAN is playing slices of his podcast to buttress their point.
You think those countries are...
And keep in mind, I'm a little uncomfortable judging his statements because they're sliced up by what OAN is doing. So just so you know. But this seems to be the root of his belief about this, and he's wrong about it. And he's not having a dude on who's going to push back about it.
Trying to buy influence. Yeah. Welcome to the world. And
Right, but
I think it's a huge problem on its face.
No. On its face is not a fucking thing. I think it's a huge problem that the host of America's #1 political comedy talk show gets to name his successor unilaterally and doesn't pick an American comedian. How about that? Right? Is that on its face? Now, under its face, I suppose, it's totally fine. I don't give a shit. You can, of course, do that. But where's it looks corrupt on its face. Like, it's silly. Come on.
Joining us now to discuss.
Yes, and by the way, yes, Jon Stewart has a new podcast that he's doing. And again, I don't even know why the fuck they call these things podcasts, because they're not audio. To me, a podcast is an audio thing. Almost audio only. Like, my Saturday show you can get as a podcast on the Sexy Liberal Network, because they cut the commercials out of it and play it just as radio. But if you're a visual show like mine, and you take out the visuals and you just play the audio, arguably, it's a podcast.
Is Lee Smith, the author of The Permanent Coup, How...
All right. You worked on that title for a long time, did you? The Permanent Coup. I'm sorry. This is like one of those stupid titles Mark Levin comes up with.
Enemies foreign and domestic targeted.
How enemies foreign and domestic targeted the American president. Oh, you mean Obama when oh no.
The American president. Thanks for being here tonight, Lee.
And thanks for not looking creepy at all, like some dude who has if you push on that bookcase it opens up and there's a wall full of like straps and leather and a one light bulb and a weird stain on the floor. It's a great look. Welcome to my library closet.
Hey, Andrea, thank you for inviting me on. I appreciate it.
Sure. Oh.
I had to break into this house and sleep here when the owners were at a timeshare, and so I got to kind of keep it down because I think their daughter just came back from college and she's in the other room, and I fresh out of chloroform. This is just such a weird take. Where are you?
Okay, Lee, for 5 years, all we heard about was Russia, Russian collusion. We had a special prosecutor, investigator, But the real collusion has been with communist China and by the Biden family. And
yes, that's why we're on such great footing with China right now. And America has never been more invested in China. Why America's never take Taiwan, knock yourself out. And you know what? Have all the chips you want. And as a matter of fact, we're not going to do anything to stifle American businesses expanding their factories and their works in China. Fuck it. Knock yourself out. It's like literally upside down world these people live in.
And it was all about the money, and there was lots of it, wasn't there?
Money.
Yeah, there was a lot of money. I tried to shape it a little differently. I say that.
Tried to shape it a little differently. Well, you have to do that when you don't have facts, I suppose.
Hunter Biden is really, and Joe Biden, it's really the tip of the iceberg. I mean, the Democratic Party.
Yeah, we haven't even gotten into Jill's corruption.
Cannot run national campaigns without money from Wall Street, big tech.
Well, who's that? Colonel Sanders, the Rothschilds. Really? You're going. This is a terrible time to go up, bruh. You don't go up when people are asking you who's behind the giant conspiracy. That should be the thing you could prattle off in a heartbeat.
The university system.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's where I was going to go. I was like, okay, big tech, Wall Street, college professor, pension funds. Fuck, that's who runs the world. If I had to draw a big, like, spidery hand on top of the globe for an old 1950s 45 warning about the creeping authoritarianism coming across the globe. Finger number 3 would definitely be the university system.
As well as Hollywood and all.
Well, thank you. Thank you for noticing. I feel seen.
All of that is a very long supply line of cash back to China. So
all right. Again, with the fucking smoking in bed picture. What is this dunk? Like, initially, it was just kind of like, oh, we really have pictures from his phone, which was hacked clearly in Ukraine, and those pictures ended up on the fake hard drive that Rudy bought. Fuck off with that nonsense. But I give a fuck. It's like, look at how, I mean, how does Joe Biden raise his children? That they, all of them, scoff at, I bet you that was a no-smoking hotel.
It's not just the Bidens. And
no, of course not. It couldn't be. I mean, not a criminal conspiracy this big. You'd have to. I mean, who else? Oprah's family, like, obviously, got to be involved. And then what other families? Whoever's behind Whole Foods, probably.
Look, I just need to say something very quickly about Jon Stewart. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, that doesn't clear him. That makes him look like more of a clown.
Yeah.
Right. All people, and there aren't all that many people, but the very few people were saying, "Oh wow, look, Burisma, that looks really bad." Let's remember that this is why Donald Trump was impeached. Mm-hmm. Had these people come out 3 years ago.
Donald Trump wasn't impeached over Burisma. I mean, does he mean the Russia? I don't know. Maybe they're cutting this too.
Could have spared the country a great deal of pain, and so they.
Oh yes, we all went through so much pain watching Trump get investigated for his obvious dealings with China, and that whole removal of not looking at his finances, therefore removing the motivational aspect of an indictment on intentionally by Bill Barr, which is the one thing that protected Trump from not only an indictment coming directly while he was president, but probably afterwards from the same charges. It was painful. It was very painful.
They get no credit now. It's unclear exactly why they're saying it, but they deserve no credit now.
Well, not only that, but it sounds like Jon Stewart at the end is saying, well, welcome to the world, nepotism. This is not just a case of nepotism. This was the vice president of the United States of America flying his kid around all around the world. And most importantly, to the Chinese Communist Party to cook up deals.
And those deals would be what? What deals? It's been 2 fucking years. All right. You should be able to prattle this shit off. What deals worked out? What deals went forward? What deals happened where he got money directly? That they just fucking straight up paid him for something, for a job he didn't do, a no-show situation. Explain it. Anybody. This guy wrote a fucking book. Say it. What is it? I've been looking. I can't find it. And I've watched all these motherfuckers.
And, and in regards to this 200 pages of evidence, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Lee, you've done the research on this.
You are wrongly. I'm correcting you for being wrongly. Only in the fact that that's not actually a word. The
Chinese Communist Party to cook up deals. And, and in regards to this 200 pages of evidence, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Lee, you've done the research on this, but
oh, his name's Lee.
I'm thinking a whole lot of the emails, Jon Stewart's like, oh, we gotta do some digging and see if there's emails tying Joe Biden. In the 200 pages that were revealed and sent to the U.S. Attorney Office in Delaware, a lot of that stuff Grassley and Ron Johnson had in 2020. This isn't.
Yeah, and it's amazing. Everybody's seen it, and it ain't shit. It ain't shit. There's no there. The most that came from it was the idea that if he made money in Rosemont Seneca, he might not have paid full, like whatever his entire tax burden is on. And he's got a tax attorney working on it, and they'll either fine him for what he didn't pay, or if they charge him because he did it on purpose, as opposed to it being a mistake. And for fuck's sake, if they go after Hunter Biden for fucking around with his taxes, and don't go after Trump when it's literally, in the case of Hunter Biden, it's like $1,000,001. That's the amount of money that they're talking about. Where with Trump, it's like tens of millions of dollars over multiple decades, if not hundreds. And I got news for you. I'm good with Hunter Biden doing 6 months and paying $1.5 million fine if that means, all right, Trump, you're up, buddy.
Is it really new?
Yeah, no, and this is, unfortunately, this points to something about the investigation that many people don't want to acknowledge.
You mean that there's no there?
Tragically, all of the information, as with the 2020 report, will be coming from the U.S. Department of Treasury, right? These are from suspicious activity reports. And we know now that the Treasury Department, Janet Yellen, doesn't want to give any of them up anymore to Hunter Biden. But the fact is, if Senators Grassley and Johnson have them, then who else has them? The Department of Justice knows all about it, too. And the U.S. Attorney in Delaware knows all about it, too. What does this tell us? I've been saying for 2 years, ever since the Hunter Biden stuff started to come up, or not since...
Stuff's a good word.
It started to come up, but since there was word, there was an investigation of Hunter Biden, my case has been, it's a performative investigation. Nothing will come of this. Nothing would...
Yeah, I'm with you. Nothing will come of this because there's nothing there. Certainly not of the level that you guys are hoping for, because none of it plays out with fucking reality. Part of the clamoring in this situation is the same. This is sort of the same complaint that the right wing had about Russiagate, is that they're bitching about like there's nothing there, and they keep looking, and they just keep looking just to look. Well, that's because that's what they're doing. It's always projection. I don't know why this guy is in a closet office. Obviously, he lost a bet with family members.
Make me happier than to have to eat my hat and say, wow, look, they rung up Hunter Biden on all this stuff. I can't believe it. Even though the same Department of Justice sends FBI agents to go after a former president of the United States and raid his home at Mar-a-Lago.
It's not his home. He stays there sometimes. It's a fucking hotel.
As it turns out, these guys are kind of on the up and up because they're going after Biden too. Unfortunately, I do not think that's the case. In fact, I think it's because it's a weaponized Department of Justice and a weaponized...
By the way, that's the other phrase. You'll hear that a lot. Weaponized Department of Justice. They've road tested that one, and they think it sticks. And it doesn't.
FBI to go after Biden opponents. I think that nothing is going to come of this at all. And again, I encourage people to understand where we are at this particular moment.
In a closet? Oh, maybe, I don't know. That's wrong. Maybe he's not in a closet. Maybe he's just in an IKEA after closing.
In American history. The fact that Senators
Oh, look at this. Where did they find this picture? I take it all back. The picture of them at a baseball game? Obviously.
Grassley and Johnson are sending 200 pages to David Weiss in Delaware, underscores the fact that they're not doing anything. That's why they sent it, to highlight, to let Americans know there's all this information on Hunter Biden and the Chinese Communist Party, and still there's no movement. Remember, this investigation, so-called investigation, has been going on for 2 years at least. Where's the evidence? It's all over the place. It's not just in Hunter's laptop.
There is no laptop.
It's the records at the Department of Treasury. Why haven't there been any charges yet?
I think it might be because there aren't any crimes.
Yeah.
We must conclude there are not going to be any charges ever against Hunter Biden.
Yeah. But, that shouldn't stop you from banging this fucking drum and showing the picture of him smoking in the bathtub covering his nipples for fucking ever. I swear to God, Hunter Biden smoking in bed is the new cigar holder from the Lewinsky affair.
If your banking records just had one flag on it from suspicious activity, you would have already been visited probably by an IRS agent, and now they're hiring 80.
He has. They're in a full investigation. That's the point.
7,000 of them to be armed. So, America, if you get even one flag, they're going to come and visit you. Hunter Biden.
Yes. This woman is telling every American that if you get one flag, if you just accidentally send a massive crypto payment for some weapons to a Taliban Coinbase account, you're probably, even if it's your first strike, you're going to get a visit.
Biden had, I think, 140 suspicious activity flags in his banking record going back 2 years. Nothing's going to be done. I wonder, though, Lee,
based on what? That's, by the way, I would love to hear where that's coming from.
If they might be.
I mean, it might be in one of the news stories like Washington Times or something like that. I'd like to hear it.
Some type of charge against him, some type of little slap on the wrist, just to continue the phony narrative that they are equal in application of the law.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if that might not be some play in the next year after the midterms to give Joe Biden a push out. What do you think about that?
Yeah. So let me get this straight. So the people that are helping him hide a massive corruption by not charging his son are going to wait until next year to do it because they're planning on keeping him from running a second time. Wouldn't that mean they're on your side, you dumbass? What the fuck? If that's the play, they're like, yeah, we could fuck the midterms in this situation, but the big fish is Biden, and he might run again and win because we know the economy's going to, it goes in cycles, and it'll probably go up right about the time he's starting to run again, and it'll really fuck us going into that year. So we should wait to pull the trigger on it until then.
It's certainly a possibility, but again, this is not why the Biden faction, the Obama Biden faction, they're not interested in power, right? No. In order to use it to hurt the people on their team. We saw what happened with the Durham investigation, which now appears.
You mean nothing? Also, what the fuck was that sentence? Does anybody know? They're not interested in power and to hurt people on their team. To just do it.
Appears to be over.
Yeah.
Right? That's all their team. They're not interested in hurting their team. It's certainly possible, but the idea that somehow they have to placate.
How's Durham their team? The fuck is this?
People in Washington, never mind people around the country. They've sent FBI agents to go after pro-life activists.
Yeah.
No, not for being pro-life activists, for physically assaulting people who were engaging in their freedom of movement. For violating the constitutional rights of other American citizens through violent assault, you fuckhead.
And these are the people who are going to show they're on the up and up by slapping Hunter Biden on the wrist for a gun charge. And look at what that does. It makes Joe Biden's gun, push for more gun control look outrageous.
Well, but I think there are some voters out there that they think that there's enough voters out there that they think are malleable, that they might actually think they got to throw a little bone towards.
No, they don't have to make up a fake charge just to play down the fever dreams of OAN viewers that OAN somehow thinks are even-keeled political independents who just, I don't know, I watch OAN, I watch MSNBC, I get the full spectrum, and I'm on the fence about this whole Hunter Biden thing. They aggressive, they gave him a $100,000 fine, and I think that's reasonable in this situation. How do you pass the remote? I would Simon's on.
The way maybe some of the independents, because they might have gone a little too obviously far, with Trump,
No.
I don't really know,
anything.
If I had somebody on the show the other day who said, look, don't be looking for any charges against Hunter Biden or Joe Biden, because the issue isn't even really them. The issue is really overall our systems and our institutions, because.
Yeah, that's what it's not really so much Biden and Hunter Biden, because you could look all you want, but you're not really going to find a crime there. The crime itself is the existence of the U.S. government and its functioning capabilities. What the hell? This is seriously right. This is actually a fucking channel someplace. Look how much money is in this stupid network. What the? And they're interviewing a dude in a library closet who dresses in the Honey, I'm Home 50 Shades of Grey collection.
We had Nancy Pelosi. Didn't she have a driver that was part of the Chinese Communist Party and a spy? We had Swalwell with Fang Fang. I mean, and you talk to yourself.
No, you didn't have Swalwell with Fang Fang. Fang Fang tried to work her way into Swalwell's campaign as a fundraiser, where she couldn't because she was not a naturalized citizen or citizen. She was a legal permanent resident, or she was on a student visa. She had the ability to like organize student groups, but she couldn't raise money herself. And she reached out because she wanted to do that. And then the FBI called Swalwell and said, "Hey, she's a Chinese spy." And he went, "Okay," and they cut off all ties with her. She flew back to China and has never been seen since. That's what you're fucking supposed to do.
A few moments ago, the depth of the tentacles of the Chinese Communist Party and their money and all facets of liberal America is so deep.
Liberal America? The fuck are you talking about? Open up your books, OAN. Who pays for this fucking channel? Also, if it's, oh god damn it! All right, so everybody remember the press conference that the DOJ had with the FBI and Christopher Wray and somebody from I think the Department of Homeland Security, where they're talking about this coordinated group of Chinese foreign agents who were over here intimidating citizens and legal permanent residents in the country, and that they were trying to abduct some of them and all that shit. And we're finding out that in Norway, China had fake police stations. Canada, they have them too. Those things all existed. They've been growing, but they existed all during the Trump presidency. That was all happening during the Trump presidency. It was never shut down until Joe Biden became president. If he made a deal with the Chinese to help them increase their control on the American people, then why the fuck is he going after the Confucius Institutes and the fake police departments and China and filing charges, indicting Chinese spies who are over here trying to make Chinese Americans fear for their lives and their families and fly back to China where they can be imprisoned or disappeared? But that's what happened during the Trump presidency. Again, how do you look at what the Biden administration is doing vis-a-vis China and actually believe this like paint huffing bullshit that there was some kind of goddamn deal? Because if the Bidens made a deal with China, China got fucked. I mean, proper fucked. Yeah, proper fucked. Because that means the Bidens took money from the Chinese and never delivered and kept the money, because fuck you, Communist Party. Right? Because it's not paying off. I will say that apparently, in theory, I mean, Trump apparently got $15 million to that magic account he had in China. There was $17 million in it. He took $15 million out in cash, because you do that in a hurry when you're a billionaire and you're flush and you don't really give a shit. I lose more than I'd run for the bus. So, during the Trump presidency, they're walking up and fucking down the country, everywhere, and nothing from the right wing about how he's allowing them to do all this stuff. All this stuff that's coming up legally that the Chinese government was doing. Again, it's not an act of the Chinese people, but the Chinese government. The shit they were doing in the United States, all during the Trump presidency, that's getting busted now. And they're not even saying this all started during the Trump presidency, when it fucking well did. The Biden administration, the FBI, everybody isn't dunking on Trump about this when they absolutely could. But somehow these assholes think that This stuff happened during the Trump years. It was shut down during Biden. So that means Biden made a deal with the Chinese to help them out, and Trump was trying to stop them. I don't know where the fuck they get this.
That it kind of begs the question of,
do both of you smell almonds is what I'm thinking.
Is there a solution here?
Yes, there's a solution here. Both of you can get some sort of medical extraction device and pull your heads out of your asses. I'm sick of this shit. This is so fucking dull. I've covered this and covered this and covered this, and I've never seen a there in any of this shit. And it's not even like stuff that it's not even hidden information. Apparently it's all on the laptop, and there's multiple, Rudy's had it for fucking ever. So if there's evidence that Grassley has to share with the fucking Delaware DA, it's stuff that was on there, so fucking show it. You got half a screen. What the fuck do you need this guy on for? Sit there and fucking put the thing on screen. Put it up there. I do it all the fucking time. Every time they bring something up and they put up a headline or something, it takes me about 20 fucking seconds to go find the article and point out how it's just bullshit. And they're using the title as the clickbait as a distraction. They're like clickbait as evidence. That's entirely the OAN and Newsmax system. I would argue it's also Fox's system across the board, especially on Unfiltered and on Tucker. And Laura Ingraham does it a lot too. Hannity just uses dumb graphics in lieu of that because he doesn't want you to read the articles and find out he's full of shit. So just make it up. I'm okay.
With the Chinese Communist Party?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and actually...
Yeah, what do you do? I mean, what are you going to do?
You may be surprised to hear this, but I'm going to give the Department of Justice and the FBI a break on this, right?
Hold on. China developers were going to build a resort in Indonesia. Guess whose name was going to be on it? Trump. Fortunately, the Chinese developers in question were busted in a scandal and the project shut down. Tweet me that article. I would love to see it.
It's fundamentally a political problem, right? This is about the...
What? Oh, yeah, it is fundamentally a political problem. It's not a criminal problem because there's no crime. It's not a civil problem because it's not like you can fucking sue him because you have no standing and you're just a fucking lunatic. So, yeah, it's just politics. So you're both being political about this. Great. I'm so glad I wasted 11 minutes of my fucking life.
Political leadership, mostly Democratic, a little of some Republican.
What the fuck is this? FBI agent with rubber gloves on, typing on somebody's computer. That's somebody's fucking ID right there. Or is it an iPad? No. Is that an iPod? It's either a driver's license. It's very dark. It's either a driver's license or an iPod from 2007. Please let me see
that were also involved. For instance, the FBI, even if the FBI wasn't doing things like spying on the Donald Trump White House.
Mm-hmm.
They're not. They didn't.
Even if it wasn't doing things like that, if it was...
Yeah, they aren't. This, by the way, that's why I'm saying, even if they're not doing it, because they're fucking not doing it. Even if they didn't do it, it's because they didn't fucking do it.
It's really actually focused on its role protecting the United States from dangerous foreign actors, right? Like the Chinese Communist Party. There is no possible way the FBI, with 13,000 agents, I think something like 35,000 total employees, could cover the more than 300,000 student visa holders from...
Oh, there we go. So Chinese students are a spy army, and you don't have enough agents. Each of these agents has got to watch 1,000 people apiece. It's just not possible. All these Chinese kids over here going to school. It's basically we've been invaded with an army of future accountants who want a degree. Yeah, you don't think they can weed through who might be the problem one, stupid?
China.
But never mind the fucking bigoted nature of this, just the straight up racism of, well, I mean, they're Chinese, look at this giant Chinese flag and all this. That's not here. What the fuck is wrong with you?
It takes something like 30 different agents to cover.
Yeah, by the way, this is a shot from Harvard. I don't know if you know this. This is commencement at Harvard. last spring. It's just pathetic. I don't know what happened.
One person who's, one suspect, one counterintelligence suspect. So no, it's a political issue. No more. How about this? No more visas for China for the subjects of the Chinese, of the Chinese Communist Party regime.
All right. So no Chinese citizens can get visas at all. So this dude is advocating the Muslim ban for Chinese people. Right about the time, by the way, that sensible Chinese people are trying to find a way to flee the fucking country under legit means as best they can. Especially with the continuing lockdowns and how authoritarian the country is going. And this dude's like, yeah, you know what? We should shut the door right as they're coming over. Because, I mean, what good are they? Really? Has a Chinese American ever contributed to this country? I don't think so. So, and I as a man sitting in a panic room full of books off my third bedroom, where, of course, I live alone in this house because my wife and kids left a long time ago. It's weird. It wasn't my screaming at all hours. It was the smell.
That's the way to address these different things. But
no, that's not a fuck. Oh my fucking God. Look at her smiling. That's the way to address these things? So, he's going back to 1922. Just stop Chinese people that there was it was hold on. I forget what it was called. The Chinese Exclusion Act. That should have been easy. I don't know why I couldn't think of that. Yeah, this guy is advocating for the Chinese Exclusion Act. And that lady is smiling. Hey, lady, fuck you. You don't have to drop your pants and be, totally naive about it, but you also don't have to turn into a goddamn bigot simply because you don't trust the government of a country. Holy shit. Who the fuck is this guy? The ongoing coup? I'm genuinely shocked.
Why isn't that going to happen? Or why isn't it going to happen without a lot of pressure? Because the universities want it. Harvard, Yale, Princeton, name a university, and they'll come back and they'll tell you how important it is to have the thousands of Chinese students they have on campus paying full tuition.
Also, not anymore. Ever since COVID, that number has been cratering. And once people return home, they don't come back. China is shutting itself off from the fucking world. And some of these students who are here, instead of going back, their parents are saying, you know what? Better to stay here. Better to stay in the United States and live there. Live your life there. Stay. Find a way, get a work visa, and then become a citizen. Don't come back. Because if you come back, you won't be able to leave, at least for, the next 10, 12, 15 years until Xi Jinping dies. And, or however long the fuck that could be. God knows if he ends up being like Kim Jong-il and just stays in charge for fucking three more decades. It's very reasonable that believe me, if I was a Chinese parent, my kid was in the United States and I was there while that shit was happening, I would tell them to stay. Find a way to work in the United States, build a business, marry a citizen, something. Don't come back. And if you can't stay there, stay for a little while and then go to Canada where they're and get asylum there in the United States. But don't come back here until we give you it's all clear. And by the way, tons of parents are doing that. to their kids. They're not spies. They didn't send them here on behalf of the Chinese government. They just want them to have a better life. They want a better education. So they fucking sent them here to get it. And now they're like, don't come back. It's dangerous. And so the Chinese government has been sending people to the United States to get them back, warning them if they don't come back, their parents will be harmed. And their parents are like, we'll be fine. Fucking stay. Because if you come back, they'll harm us and you. So just stay there. And the FBI, I mean, that's what that press conference was about.
That's the issue. The issue with China is fundamentally a political problem. It's not an intelligence issue.
Well, in deference to the two of you. Thank God it's not an intelligence issue. You'd both be completely unqualified.
Fundamentally political. Until our politicians, we hold their feet to the fire. And in some cases, I will mean that literally.
All right. Nobody. A torture metaphor. Sometimes I mean that literally. No, you fucking don't. You are not going to this. And I, by the way, I sort of felt bad at the beginning of this, making that kind of untoward joke about this fucker being in this closet and being able to push on that bookcase right behind him and open up into a room full of like leather straps and a gimp and a fucking crate and a cat of nine tails and a stain on the floor and nipple clamps and shit like that and you know, a vat where he's dissolving his last victim. I felt that was right out of the gate judgmental, but I was being absurdist, so I would let it slide. Now, nah. I think it's worse. I think that was just intuition on my fucking part. And granted, I have a bit of a chip on my shoulder about that phrase, holding the feet to the fire. Cornel West said it once about Obama, and I was like, you're really going to use a torture metaphor that was used on slaves and heretics, where they would literally hang them up and burn their feet with irons as a way of motivating someone to do what you want them to do, or to make them keep their word, which is the heretical part. No. It's a shit metaphor. It's grotesque. Imagine if somebody said about Obama, well, we got to keep shackles on this guy so we make sure he does what he's supposed to. We got to whip this guy so that he does what we expect of him. Right? Fucking terrible. Hold your feet to the fire is the same fucking thing. It's a torture metaphor. And then this motherfucker goes, sometimes literally. Listen to this shit. Hold on. The fuck? I almost grabbed my bullshit button. Hello.
Political problem. It's not an intelligence issue. Fundamentally political. Until our politicians, we hold their feet to the fire. And in some cases, I will mean that literally, none of this will be solved.
All right. In some cases, I mean that literally. First of all, you fucking prat. You are not going to be in a position ever in your fucking life to physically torture an elected representative in the United States of America. I don't know what kind of Jonestown horseshit you live in or you think is coming, but it fucking ain't. And I also don't understand how this dude thinks that our relationship with China and the Biden's relationship with China and how we're being treated and how Trump was treated and all this kind of stuff is inherently political, but this motherfucker thinks that things that are inherently political should be handled through the physical torture of human beings. Also, on the upside, he means politicians on his side of the aisle. He's not talking about doing this to Democrats. He gives a fuck. They just want them gone. He's talking about, like, Mitch McConnell. He's talking about Romney. He's talking about the rhinos.
Well, Donald Trump came down the escalators in 2015 talking about how China was eating our lunch and taking advantage of us. He got it. He understood it.
No, he didn't. He did nothing to stop it. He exacerbated the problem. And And they weren't. I like Chinese culture. 我最喜欢中国的文化 but 我有很多的中国的朋友 I have a lot of Chinese friends. 我爱中国人，我爱台湾人。And while I'm at it, Taiwan 是一个国家. But I just said Taiwan's a country. Anyways, during that time, I was very up on Chinese people and the culture, but you could tell as I was there shooting the Explore China show, we would go to different places. Like, I was super excited when the thing started up. I was like, this is going to be great. I love going there. And I love, the food. I love the culture, what exists, in it. What's left of it anyways in China. All of it still exists in Taiwan. But most of it, what's left of it in China, they're doing Xinjiangguo, which is in New China, which is the elimination, like the second coming of Mao and the elimination of true Chinese culture. And the only ones you're allowed to do are kind of performative bullshit versions of old Chinese cultural things that are done. Imagine if they forced you to celebrate Christmas, but only do the Santa and presents part, and you're not allowed to go to church and celebrate the religious base of it. By law. That's basically what's going on. So it's fucked up. And it didn't take me long going over there. I remember telling you guys this story of going to this new green city that China had built. And they flew us into this one place, and we took a long train ride out to this city that they were building from scratch, essentially, to be completely self-sufficient and have recycling and all this stuff. And each apartment had 3 ducts in it that the garbage goes down, and one goes to recycling, and one goes for strictly plastics, and other ones go to composting. So you put your foodstuffs in these special bags that are biodegradable, and so that composts out and it helps the soil. And this one goes straight to raw plastics go out, and they get recycled, and then regular paper garbage goes out this way. And if you have any extra special trash, you put it in a little box out front on trash day, and they take it to some place, and somebody sits there and goes, what do we do with this kind of trash? And then they'll seek to eliminate that kind of trash from the government. Like, that was the plan. And they had a processing center where we went to film, which had this big screen on it that showed where all the trash was coming in from all these apartments. You could see when it came out of an apartment and where it went, and it ended up in these big processing, like these canisters that were like 20 feet wide and 20 feet tall. They were like kind of ovular tank, like oval tanks on the top and bottom, like rounded, beveled tanks is what I'm looking for. And this is supposed to be the container where the certain types of trash goes, and then they treat it specially with this stuff that they rinse it and degrade it and turn it into other shit. But they weren't tanks at all. They were concrete molds. They weren't hollow. The garbage didn't go in there in any form. The screen that they were showing was a loop. If you stood there long enough, you would see the same trash come out of the same apartment and go down the same track into the same hole. And then go into the same tank, which couldn't take garbage anyways because it was a solid chunk of concrete. Now, other people, like Ray Dalio and other, like, I'm sure politicians from all over the world, got wined and dined, and they brought you there, and they set you up in this hotel where there's barely anybody around, and it's, oh my God, the space they've got, and there's so many hotels, and there's so many rooms at this place. Never mind, they're hollow. They don't even have, the walls aren't painted. Like, you go in the wrong hotel room, if your key worked on all the ones, if you could use your key to get into another room, you'd open it up and there'd be nothing in it. It would just be an empty concrete room. There'd just be glass on it with the drapes drawn. That's what they did. And they would, and there was fucking nobody else there. In a country of 1 billion people, almost everywhere we went, if we weren't in Beijing city center or Shanghai city center or at one particular like heavy tourist area during a touristy part of the year, empty. Fucking nobody. And so when I said when I came back, like I was always dubious about the China's going to eat our lunch kind of things because they assemble things, they don't make things there. And they're not even allowed to have, ingenuity is all but outlawed in the fucking country. We went to so many places where we had an interview ready with somebody, and it was going to show, culturally what was going on, or some particular restaurant or some particular thing. And they canceled it at the last minute, and we couldn't meet with they're not available. And come to find out, they never existed, or the place never existed. And they were all just trying to get us to a particular part of town. They're like, well, that didn't happen. But if we film over here, this is really cool. And it's the same shit you'd see in tourist videos all over the time. Basically, if you like showed up in LA and you're like, I'm here, the LA Tourism Board has flown me into Los Angeles to show you how much LA is fantastic. We're going to see the Sunset Boulevard. We're going to go see Mann's Chinese Theater. We're going to go down to the beach and see Venice and all the craziness down there. It's going to be great. And then you show up and somebody from Los Angeles says, as you pick you up at the airport and goes, we're going to set up this thing. There's something going on. They're doing some construction or something at Mann's Chinese Theater. So we're going to take you, and we can't take you to this place, but we're going to take you to this really great restaurant on it's like on this lot. And we'll show you. It's going to great. We'll give you a great tour. You'll be plenty to film. And we pull onto a television lot, pull up to a studio where they have constructed, essentially, a restaurant set. And you're like, this is your, and LA said, the LA Tourism Board said, this is your tour. Film this inside here as if it's a restaurant on the street. And most of the people go, yeah, sure, okay. That's everywhere we went to these Buddhas that had been discovered in the side of this mountain that had supposedly been there forever, and they were discovered after a long time, because there's a story about this miner who was digging and the thing fell, and then, oh my God, there was a Buddha under here, and then they started digging and they realized all these chambers along here, and you could go in and see all these different Buddhas that represent all these things, and then there's one big giant one in the center, and it's gorgeous, but you can't film in there. And you can't take any pictures. Even without the flash, you're not allowed. Because they don't want you to. Not because you'll harm it or anything. Just say you're not allowed. How come? Oh, you're just not supposed to. It's just bad. I'm like, is it bad luck? Is it considered? No. We just can't film in there. You come in and look, and then you come out and you stand out there and go, wow, I've just seen this thing. But you can't film it. There's one you're allowed to film, and then the rest of them are, you're not allowed to show anything. And I was like, okay, these are just a set. They built these. They made them. They built them like a huge set piece. Like, imagine if people in Irvine in California said, we'd like to show you this ancient site called Disneyland. It was discovered many, many years ago, and it's been here forever. This monorail, it was made 1,000 years ago. You're not allowed to take any pictures, but it's been here this whole time. You're like, I'm pretty sure you just made this a couple of years ago. Nope. The whole China's going to eat our lunch thing was a sales pitch. Biden has said it a couple times, and it's just like people just said it like a fucking tick.
And was actually taking some steps against it. So
No, he wasn't. If he was taking some steps against it, he wouldn't have excluded all of Ivanka's shit from the tariffs.
I think we can get some movement on this. We just need new leadership. And I thank you for being here tonight, Lee.
Thank you, Andrea. Have a great night.
Thanks.
Have a great night. I gotta leave right now because I gotta. I'm sorry. Can you hear the screaming? I just hear the screaming. Do you hear the screaming? Ah! Fucking hell. Hi, you're watching HAL Sparks Mega Worldwide. That's an OAN clip where a guy who wrote a book about how everybody's torturing Trump, poor baby, thinks that we should be torturing Republicans by burning their feet with hot irons, which I would like to say for the record, I'm against. Yes, like that metal tank. That's exactly right, Narg. Yeah, the Buddhas were fake, just like the metal tank that was actually concrete. They were made of concrete. I guarantee the reason they didn't want us filming those things was because they're not real. And you would have taken the footage back and gone, hey, look at this. And an actual archaeologist would go, that's the wrong fucking time period. What are you talking about? They didn't come up with this way of painting stuff or those images. That's for another 1,000 years. What are you talking about? This is just a drawing. Where the fuck they get this from? A manga? Yeah. So, anyways, good times. All right, now, there are moments when the end times feel like they're upon us. I know everyone says this, oh dear God. Our dear friend Jay Arnold on Twitter does this all the time. The lamenting, the wailing and gnashing of teeth. Like, there are people on Twitter that remind me of, like, monks that lash themselves with fucking spiked whips, you know, the cat of nine tails. I'm so terrible, Lord, and I know you're coming tomorrow afternoon, so I want you to know that I take my sins seriously. God, this is exciting, actually. I'm kind of getting a boner. Those kind of monks, you know who I'm talking to. Hey, monks, if you're watching the show, yeah, I'm talking to you. So there are those folks that, and I was like, I for the longest time, I would hear about those kind of things, and I was like, the loons, Norman, the loons. Yes, I would worry that I'm like, I would wonder, like, how do people come up with that shit? How do people get to that point where they're like, I know, I'll smack myself, for the Lord. And then you look at Twitter, and there's a habitual reassurance matrix around people who say, I'm exhausted. This is terrible. This is the end. The destruction is coming. With the burning down, right? Happens all the time. And people go, oh, poor baby. Or, oh, me too. It's a social building exercise at that point. So you're building a group of friends by like, hey, this is our exhaustion semicircle. We would have a whole circle, but those people, they passed out already. Just kind of leans out. It's like a floppy circle. Anyways, happened to anybody. So those people are kind of like the lightweight slacktivist version. It feels good when you stop, right? Never start then. I always feel that way. All right. So yes, I always have that. Even though I don't flog personally, I always walk around with that post-flog feeling. It's nice. I think you're onto something, Kaling. I think ultimately I am I am clearly someone who walks around with that, freshly flogged feeling. The hashtag triple F. Beat myself senseless. Right. Well, maybe that's it. So you keep to desensitize yourself. All right. Now, and who does that better than our, who self-flagellates better about the end times than our dear friends at Flashpoint. Now, for those of you that don't know, there's a mix-up of folks today. We only got Skank Kuhneman today of the regulars and Gene the Jesus Machine. And these three guys, I think we've seen him before, but I don't remember their names. They don't have nicknames yet. We'll have to whip those out at some point. This guy is creeping me the fuck out. Like this guy looks like a priest who closes the door on you when you're seeking help during the Omen. When you're like running from Rottweilers and you're like banging on the church and the door opens and this guy goes, help, he's coming from anywhere. Shump. That's what that guy looks like. Seriously. Look at that fucking, like, guilty. Just evil looking, creepy dude. And this guy looks like he's selling timeshares in heaven. Right? So, Jesse Duplantis, right. We'll figure it out. And then this guy's got future BTK killer of America look about him. I fit in perfectly. No one suspected me. Anyways, so it looks Russian, right? But apparently Trump calls in. Oh, Dutch Sheets. Oh, God. Dutch Sheets. Jeff Duplantis. Jesse Duplantis. So I'm curious. You're curious. Dear God, help us all. Gene the Jesus Machine. I think he's teasing a long form interview where Trump calls in. He's always got that red phone on his desk, like they're in the fucking Bat Cave as his personal butler. Yeah, I think they always use the red phone and then they leave it off the hook to keep the illusion. Don't hang up the phone. People will think he's gone. Like people wrote in, how come Trump was still talking and you'd hung up the phone? I do think we need a guest host for this segment, though. Full-on guest host. Because I just feel it's only fair. Hey, how y'all doing? Let me tell you something. Tell you what, buddy. I love me some Flashpoint. I bought a fleshlight once because I thought it was like a home game version of this show because I can't spell all that well. And let me tell you, it was in some ways superior. If you get me. And I think that you do. Okay, now, here we go. Okay, now. Well, let's see you through there. Tell us what's up, Gene the Jesus Machine.
Trump was going to call in, so I want to play a quick piece of that. Just bear with me. It was 4:30 in the morning when he called. Okay.
Oh, hey, that's the same thing that happened to the mess D'Souza, man. That's why the mess got all... He looked all fucked up. Did you see him the other day in that clip? He's all watery-eyed, had his glass, didn't have time to put his fucking contacts in, had a throw-on shirt sitting in the wrong set. And he's like, I'm here to talk to Mr. Trump. We're so happy to have you on here. Jesus Christ, get me some coffee. Apparently, Trump is on this, like, get gacked up on stimulants, wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning in a flop sweat, and call Gene the Jesus Machine. But at least now I know why I got a busy signal the other night. I'm not taking it personally, Gene. I knew you do your best.
Okay.
Hi. Hold on one second. I have a special visitor. Hi. Love you. In a moment. No, I already ate at the airport because I was waiting. So, feel free to order something. They some girl came in here. She was like all pretty and stuff. She's smooching on me. It's so good. You know what, Gene? I don't need you to get my prayers answered. I'm just saying. I do not. I've got it all hooked up. Come on now. Here we go. Now, what was he saying? Okay, so what he's saying is Trump called him at 4:30 in the morning, gacked up on stimulants, and yeah, there you go.
So, watch this.
Oh boy, it's good. I've never seen Gene in his PJs before.
President Trump, how would you? Inflation is rampant, as you know. It's even the numbers. All economists agree that it's probably a lot worse than what's being reported.
Yeah, it has to be, man. Too many people are going to dinner and going to football games and watching movies and re-upping Netflix and buying fleshlights and stuff like that. Obviously, they just don't know how bad it is because they keep on spending money on stuff and doing stuff and getting stuff and being stuff. How are we going to scare them away from trying?
What would you do to help?
What? Yeah, tell him. And don't worry, Gene, he's going to give you specifics. He's going to give you one of his 3-point plans. Point number 1, it was better when I was there, which really isn't a forward-moving point, but context, Gene, context. Point number 2, I was going to make it better while I was there if I'd have just kept going. If I was in office, it had just been magically better because I was there. Point taken. And number 3, I have a plan to fix it. 2 weeks.
Help inflation. How can we turn this sort of thing around?
Turn this thing around. Love to see projection Come on. I'm sorry. I do that every time.
So we were energy independent 2 years
What I say, point number one.
ago. We were going to be, within about 3 months, energy dominant. We were going to dominate everybody.
Oh, we're going to spank them. We're going to take them Saudis and go, come on. Come on. We were going to go like, get that oil out of the ground. Get it out. Move over, polar bears. Come on. There was some pristine land that has some goo under it. We're going to fucking put a spigot in that shit.
We're already number one.
We are number one, man. We're never going to stop being number one. We're the best. Go America. Yay, team. Except now, everything sucks. It's the worst it's ever been. I don't know how we're going to live through it. It's absolute shit.
Brought it to number one.
Yeah. We were almost number one, but then we got number one, and then the tape where he was doing number one never came out, which I feel disappointed about.
And I filled up the reserves, you know that, and now they're being emptied. They're being emptied at a level. He just took 15 million barrels out yesterday, he announced.
Oh, my God. He took 15 million barrels out of the reserve? Out of 640 million barrels? Shit. Oh, dear. If he does that every quarter, in 7 years, we might only have one more year left. I'm sorry. Whenever I do math, I smell that smell that a fresh Band-Aid makes when you open up fresh Band-Aids. You're like, that weird smell. And then my right leg goes to sleep. Don't study math, kids. It's the devil's instrument.
And that wasn't meant to lower prices for an election. That was meant for the military. That was meant for nuclear and war and things.
Yes, yeah, because I don't know if you know this, but our nuclear missiles run on diesel. And they all got, hey, these are American nuclear missiles. Fuck you, man. They got a Slim Pickens doll on the front of them going, hee-haw, hee-haw. And then they literally go, right before they land.
It's like that. But even that, it's a small amount relative to what you'd need, so it's not going to have much of an effect. It's horrible.
Okay.
What they've done to the...
it's horrible what they've done to the reserves.
Strategic reserves. But I would very, very strongly get them drilling, and that will be the beginning of lowering the inflation. There are other things also.
We're at 98% of our drilling capacity already. But the profits from the oil industry are through the fucking roof. Now, they were in the shitter before, so it kind of evens out. You know what I mean? You got to pay your investors with something, and you weren't able to pay them for like a year and a half. So you're going to have to pull profits and pay them off because they basically invested in your company to get it off the fucking ground and drill some shit. And it's really, I mean, look, I know what y'all are thinking. Fekish, man. What is he talking about? It ain't even about how much we're drilling. There's enough oil. It's the refining that keeps the gas prices high. And he's got to answer for that, folks. Okay? So what if we got plenty of oil and we're at almost 100% where we were in 2018 and ahead of other countries? That's not important. The important thing is that we're behind on refining, and he's got an answer for that, which is so.
The biggest thing is if you get your energy costs down, because energy is so big.
It's very big.
So all-invasive.
It is all-inflative.
So powerful. And if that comes down in half or much less, you know, I had it down to $1.87 a gallon. And then these guys blew it. All they had to do was leave it the way.
Yeah, all they had to do was not vaccinate the fucking country. If everybody had just stayed home the way they were and not gone anywhere, if we hadn't reopened all the fucking cruise ships and planes didn't go back up in the air and people weren't buying stuff that required trucking, and if they'd have just left it alone, man. Americans, what the fuck is the matter with you? Stay the fuck home and stop doing stuff. You're blowing the whole... We had a plan, man. We're going to bring oil down to nothing by essentially eliminating the American consumer. Now, hear me out. It's a strategy. It'll work.
The way it was.
It's true. All they had to do was leave it the way it was.
Yeah, just leave COVID alone. Just leave the lockdowns in place. And what more could you want? Don't ask me, ask Skank. Man, Skank. Skank's dead. Fire it up. Fire it up. Smokes and road beers. Be quick. I love the crow.
Jesse, I mean, you know, we talked to you last time you were on. We talked to you about energy. This is the second time I've talked to President.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. They talk to Jesse knows energy, man. He's got lots of it.
Trump, and he said the first thing he would do is energy, and this time he said and close the border.
You just want me to trust you on that? That's what he said? He said close the border. Close it. Nobody gets through. No legal immigration, no shipping, no trucks. All the business Texas does with Mexico, shut that shit off. That's the plan? Okay. Operation Island America. Got you.
Do you agree with what President Trump's saying there?
Of course he does. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to answer for you, but I can. Do you think he'd be in one of these fucking boxes if he didn't, you dumb son of a bitch? Gene, don't be an asshole. You will, look, you do not get to be on Flashpoint unless you're pretty sure that Jesus looks like Trump's butthole.
I do agree because you see, the world runs on energy. Gene.
Yes, it does run on energy. And the love of the Lord. But more energy.
47 miles from where I'm sitting here.
40? Damn, I thought I had an accent. I know that's supposed to say Jesse DeSantis Ministries, but it looks like mini-series. And I just would not sign up for Clean Flicks if that's one of them. It scares me. Also, I'm just going to go with, he looks like a dinner theater Hannibal Lecter.
It's a place called Fouchon. And there's valves out there with oil. All we got to do, listen, all we got to do is turn the valve.
Yeah, man, go do it. You know, tell you what, Gene, get your Tercel, fire it up, head over there, pick up Jesse, drive out into Fouchon in the middle of it, hop the fence, sneak over there, get yourself a monkey wrench, loosen that little securing bolt, and then give that stuff a waggle and just let that oil flow out right into the river. Why aren't we doing that? That seems like a great plan.
The valve on and the oil starts flowing. The pipelines are already there. Turn it on. You see, but I know the president has power, but I don't think any person, whether a president, a congressman, should have the power to shut down a company in a free nation. See,
they don't. They didn't shut these fucking things down, dummy. You got to crew these fucking things. You don't just open the spigot and the oil just magically sprouts up in the sky, bounces off a fucking rainbow, and turns into 95 octane, you prick.
See what I'm saying? Now,
No, I don't know what you're fucking saying. All we know is that you and Gene are planning to go out in the middle of a goddamn field and turn a valve.
We have to submit to authority, but we have to be people of authority. And it's amazing to me that if we quit thinking about ourselves and what we want to do, and I believe in clean energy, I believe in all those things, but I've learned something that you can't jump all hurdles at one time. You got to run the race. See, so till you can get there, I mean, all we got to do, we got the cleanest oil anywhere in the world. And it's amazing to me that these people that seem to be from Yale, Harvard, Princeton, Duke, Columbia, the blue bloods, ain't got enough sense to pour water out of a boot. My Lord, man, when people are trying to just make a living, you bring energy prices down, you're going to bring inflation down.
Yeah, you know what? That's the kind of common sense you got to talk about. They don't know which end of a boot the water pours out of or something. Look, you got people. They're tired. These people are tired. And one thing we know about undiluted cocaine is it wakes you up. And anybody with common sense knows that people who are awake and doing their job are better than people who are tired doing their job. And kids focus better when they're awake, and you can't guarantee a good night's sleep, but we've got this resource in the form of God's own white powder that we could just, I don't know, maybe we go door to door. You and me, Gene, will hop a fence and open up this valve on the water supply, and we'll just dump stimulants into that and help the world wake up, because that'll give people energy as well. It's a great plan. I don't see what could go wrong.
You're going to bring food costs down. You're going to bring everything down because we have to truck it. We have to ship it. We have to fly it. We have to put it.
We got to truck it, man. Preach.
Boats, all those different things. It's a very simple thing. Very, very simple, but
it's very simple. It's very simple. We have to boat and truck these things. We got to go eastbound and down, okay? Obviously, all the shit that was coming from China ain't coming anymore, largely. Or if it is, it's like the last shipment of it. So people are like, all right, that's the last time we're getting that cheap shit. So it's going to be more expensive to make other stuff, and that's going to keep us in an inflated situation for a couple of years until they can reshore factories or find other suppliers or build factories in other places where there's low labor costs, likened to what there was in China. But what the fuck do I know? I didn't go to Harvard.
When you think more about yourself than the American people, this is the kind of problems you're going to have.
Fuck, I knew it was my fault, but I had no idea. I apologize, everybody. I was just thinking of myself. Why was I just thinking of myself? You're so right, Jesse. I was just thinking of me. I wasn't thinking about all you guys. I wasn't thinking about the community. You know what we should form is some sort of commune. We should get together and, I don't know, maybe there's a system based on us working in a community-based system, I don't know, like he's suggesting, where everybody just acts in a selfless way and we just all agree on the divvying up of tasks that, I don't know what that's called, but somebody should name that.
So true. So true.
It is true. Just say it's true enough times, it'll feel true. That's how you know what I mean? I've talked myself into a lot of nights where, sure, it was a mistake, but at least I wasn't lonely.
When you quoted my dad there about pouring out of a boot, yeah, that was great.
Yeah, obviously he knows the quote from your father better than you do, but then he spent more time with your mom. Hey, oh, look out! Come on now.
Except I heard it a different way growing up, and I'll just leave that right there.
Yeah, he was going to lose his boot in your ass, I think is what he said.
Yeah, I said that.
So what you're saying is corporal punishment doesn't work, and if you spare the rod, the child could still be a prick, so why not?
All right, well, one of the things that you mentioned just there, Jesse, about clean oil, and I believe it was you.
Yes, and we all pooped a little when you said it, because we were like, you ever when you're like, oh shit, and you literally shit because the oh shit is so intense? Clean oil. Yeah, why don't you just wash in the stuff, man? It's like palm olive, man. Some oil, like olive oil, I heard the Greeks use that as lube. You know what I mean? Some oil is fine.
You the first time that said it, and I'm ignorant in this area.
Well, that's, obviously, it's like a collect all five situation, Glenn, on most topics.
I'm getting better, but understanding.
No, you're not. I have been watching, for the record, and I love you, Gene. I do. I love every inch of your gigantic fucking forehead, and I wish, in some ways, that I could just play I could take your show and broadcast it onto your forehead while I'm watching your show so I could see it twice.
Clean versus dirty oil. Some of the dirtiest oil that we're getting is what he's doing from Venezuela. Is that correct?
That is correct. I mean, if you think of...
No, we ain't getting that oil from Venezuela, motherfucker. They put that out on the market.
About it, it's fossil fuels. I remember years ago they said, boy, if gas gets to $1 a gallon, if we can get it to $2 a gallon, we can clean it up and never pollute. Well, I really think that we got scientists, we know how to do those things.
No. I don't want to get all colloquial on you guys, but that was what was commonly referred to as bullshit.
Bullshit detected. Take precaution.
You don't have to tell me, man. I was fucking there.
It takes money to do that, but in the process.
Yeah, you got, and so we just got to keep raising the price of oil, and one day, if we get the price of a gallon of gas up high enough, it'll magically become clean.
All you have to do really is to turn the valves on, and
yeah, and it comes out. Just you know what? The best way to transport is just send your kids over and have them take a big pull off the valve. Just fill your kid's belly, and then they go over and have them just pee it out someplace, and it comes out as medium grade octane. You have to treat it to make it for sports cars,
and
or have a really tall kid. I don't know how it works.
Put this gigantic America back to work. You can say put America first, call it what you want, but all of a sudden just think about American people. Think about kids that, bless God, can get back in school instead of listening to these blue bloods so much, and they've done.
Kids are back in school. I would like to say they have been back in school for 2 fucking years. Everywhere. Nobody's out of school. Nobody's been out of school, even in the most strict districts, since over a year ago. The fuck are you talking about?
Dumbed down on the children. They were saying that now, and they said, "Well, my God, that's why we got to put them over here. They can't go here. They can't do this. We got."
Yeah, that's what I was saying. They can't put them over here. They can't do this. They can't do that. That's what I said. That's how they ended up there in the first place.
Enough sense to know what to do. Do we have the authority? Do we have the courage to go do it? And that's when.
Yeah, let's stop fucking around, Jesse. You and me. I'm heading there right now. God damn it. I'm coming over. Jesse, man, you and me, we're going out to that field. I'm going to turn that fucking valve, buddy. We ain't just talk shit. Let's do this. Come on. I'm going to try. I'll see you fuckers later. I'm not going to do the rest of the clip. I got to finish the clip. All right, I'll finish the clip. And then, Jesse, I'm coming, man. I'm coming. I'm going to drive up there tonight, man. I'll see you in fucking Tulsa. Where the fuck is it? I don't know where the fuck he does his thing. I want to drive all the way to Tulsa and find out he's in Omaha. Not again.
What I'm talking about. And I believe America does. I know God does. But I want to.
Yeah, obviously God does because he's all-knowing. So there's that. Yeah. I mean, I guess God knows what you're talking about since he technically knows everything. Yeah.
I'm going to say this real quickly. I had a person.
Yeah, wrap it up.
Tell me this the other day, and I've been saying this for quite a few weeks. But Jesse, everything's falling apart. No, it's not. Everything's fallen in place.
That's right. That's right. This is exactly how it should be. Sometimes you got to make a broken egg omelet to learn that your pan doesn't work.
Jesus is coming. They can say what they want. He is coming. This is all coming together. And if you really want to know what they're going to say
right now over me
say on the news tomorrow, go to Matthew 24 and just read it. It's coming down, see? And Jesus is coming. But that doesn't mean.
Yeah, but you don't have an approximate day, because I got plans to make. I mean, you want kids in school. I mean, are they preparing for the rapture, or are they going to soccer camp next year? I mean, people got to make plans. You can't just spring the rapture on me apropos of fucking nothing, man. And according to Matthew 23, I think is where it says, no man shall know the hour of the day, only God in heaven knows, not even the Son knows, which means Jesus doesn't even know when he's coming back. Why the fuck would you, buddy?
That we just drop everything. No, we still occupy till he comes. I hope I'm not preaching too much here, but.
Yeah, you're definitely over quota. Do they have like a game show buzzer or something they can give all these assholes? That guy's writing it down. Like, oh shit, he's coming. Pencil in, Jesus will be here week from Wednesday, approximately. Not really sure.
I mean, to get an election to understand things, you have to understand it. You have to be strong. You can't be saying, well.
Oh, don't worry. I am. I'm holding this desk up with my ding-a-ling. So, I mean, it's not just strength. It's concentration. it really is the key.
No. You have to be strong. No
All right. I will be.
matter what. A fight you want, a fight you're going to get.
But I mean, I forget what Bible verse that is, but Jesus said something like that.
We don't want to fight.
All right. Yeah, we have to occupy. I love that you said that, because that's, we're not looking for the next train out, but we're going to take it if it's coming. We got to occupy.
Where do we get tickets for the rapture? I just want to know. And honestly, are they going to charge us for a carry-on the same amount as a check bag? I mean, Spirit Airlines, I feel like that's a sign. Spirit Airlines makes you pay for every fucking thing. And does the Holy Spirit, is it Holy Spirit Airline? Do they do the same thing?
Occupy until he comes. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, time for some hope and change.
Oh, no. I'm sorry, I don't have time for that. I can't. I got to prepare for the rapture, man. I got to go. So, anyways, hey, don't forget to like and subscribe, y'all, so I can come back if you want to see me again. Thumbs up. Write a little something in the comments section. Something like Ficus is sexy. Why doesn't he have an OnlyFans? Stuff like that. And don't forget, take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. And I'll see you guys in the upcoming show. Sorry, you have to understand, there's a weight limit going to heaven, and I just don't want to be carrying an extra load. And quite frankly, I know you're like, gas doesn't fucking weigh anything. Ficus, what's wrong with you? Like, yeah, but you pass through a narrow passage. You know that straight and narrow thing? You gotta slim out, man. You're not gonna fit. Trust me. Thanks, guys, for watching. You guys are wonderful. Appreciate hanging out with you again. And I am going to, I've gotten a couple of requests, so I am going to set up, and it might be temporary, we'll see, but I'm going to set up a Rumble stream just to fuck with these people so that it starts showing up in the feed over there. It costs money, though, so hopefully it pays off in the long term. But anyways, that's part of the plan. I think it's going to start next week. But anyways, I love you guys. Please, please, please don't let the doom sprayers get you. Keep your head up, and if you haven't voted yet, please do. And if you already have voted, promote the shit out of everybody else voting. Make sure they do. Harangue your friends to vote. Make sure they've done it. Be a dick. It's okay. But the important thing is remember, and if you don't know who to choose in a situation, you got a ballot in front of you, and you're presented with a choice that you believe is the lesser of two evils. Choose less evil. See you tomorrow. Thank you, David. Appreciate it.